Hi Capricorn, welcome to your week ahead taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign, Cappy, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general reads. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your key to the week, you have the Hanged Man. This is a week to sit back, chill, take a chill pill and do nothing. Whenever the Hanged Man shows up, it kind of says to you, yes, there are likely to be delays here, but it's also a time where you yourself should be going within to take a moment. So I'm going to say this to you, in all of these different areas of life, this may be a week where you're needing to look at where you're giving too much or putting too much in, because this card can, in its dysfunctional sense, represent martyrdom. So where is it that you're overly giving to the point where it's not only not fair, but it's not actually doing you or the other person any favors? This is also a time for you to think about your deeper spiritual life. What is going on there? Have you fallen off your spiritual path? Have you been putting into it? What is it that's starting to shape up for you in that sphere of your life at this moment in time? If you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit that subscribe button. For your actions and interactions and options, you have the Two of Cups. So this is you really having to look at your partnerships, your relationships, just to see, are they evenly stacked? Is everything okay? More importantly, for some of you, this is about cultivating, or maybe a week where your partner wants or needs a deeper bond or connection from you, or maybe where you start to look at the relationship and say, okay, where is it that we're stagnant and where is this stasis starting to happen? What I also like about this, because the Two of Cups means that you are open for collaboration. You are open to hearing different ideas, different opinions, different thought forms and viewpoints. With that Hanged Man there, though, there's a sense that this you are going to have to look at what is off kilter, what is out of whack. And I think, actually, interestingly enough, that message came up for Scorpio, but with different cards. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, for those of you that have interactions between these two signs, how it plays out. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Ten of Swords with the Hanged Man. This is a week where I want you to take any and all information that you are given with a pinch of salt. Even this reading, for those of you smart asses out there. Y'all know I love you. But you've got this with the Hanged Man, and you know, there's so on a sort of really mundane level, this could be a falling out, this could be an argument, it could be a challenge or an issue that comes up with another person. And for a lot of you, I kind of feel like this is something that you have been holding back on for a while. So you may have waited. No, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. And it's got to a point now where you literally can't hold back or hang back anymore. And it's like, you know, you're going to have this conversation and you're going to have to hash it out. I actually think this could be the clearing of the decks or the clearing of the air that you need. It's just not going to be pretty. I got to say that. And I will say, even though you guys are a force to be reckoned with, because you've got the Ten of Swords in the communications and you've got the Hanged Man there as the key to the week, it's likely that this week somebody is going to give you a run for your money. 9 times out of 10, I would put my hands up and say the Cappy's going to come out on top. But this time it actually feels like you, maybe not necessarily that you're in the wrong, but there are things that you need to hear. And so it's going to be important for you to eat some humble pie this week and just take a moment to hear what you need to hear. That being said, if you're being walked on or trampled on, then you know as well that's something that you need to rectify now. For those of you that are studying or in any form of academia, that Ten of Swords does suggest for a few of you, maybe this is the studies either coming to an end, or maybe the subject matter is no longer for you. This could be a real moment where you decide to pivot, and in a big way that possibly upsets some of the some of the people that surround you right now. When it comes to those of you that are employed by somebody else, this could be, excuse me, this could be in response to the treatment that you've had at work or with work. This could be literally you saying, you know what, I think it's time. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or people that work for themselves, this may also be where you're choosing to, where you're needing to start looking at raising your prices, or starting to think, quite seriously about how much you're giving in return to, in response for what you're getting. So when it comes to the finances or the resources of your business, this is you having to revise. Maybe, if let's say you run a food truck, maybe you're going to have to put your prices up, or you're going to have to make your portions smaller. There's something here that needs to give, and if it doesn't, I think it could be quite detrimental for you later down. For those of you that are retired and no longer working, it is the Ten of Swords. You may have to play, I want to say mediator, but it feels like you may be a part of the melee that's going on. So it's kind of one of those things where you're not really going to be able to escape whatever it is. You're just going to have to be there and let it play itself out. Excuse me. For your love and relations, you've got the Six of Cups. Definitely not tired today. For your love and relations, you've got the Six of Cups. Okay, with the Hanged Man, for those of you that are having blasts from the past, people coming up, ex-partners, ex-lovers, people that you have once been affiliated to or tied with, this could be a resurfacing of that. It looks like some of you are taking that trip down memory lane. So for those of you that are single, this could be reconnecting with an old partner. Excuse me, because you've got the Ten of Swords here, I am loath to say to you, this is not the week, right? Sorry. This is not the, it's not so much that it's not the week, like you can do whatever you want to do. It's always your choice. But with this combination, I kind of get the feeling that this might be for you guys to hash it out. What seems really rosy on the surface might devolve into an argument very quickly. And a part of this is probably because you start to understand that both of you understand the past of that relationship very, very differently. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, wanting to get back to the honeymoon, wanting to get back to being in that space where things felt easy, where things felt calm, definitely possible. For those of you that are single, again, whoever's coming back into the fold, I'm not entirely sure it's because there's supposed to be a reconnection. Even though these, even though these two cards are actually quite nice, I'm not convinced. For your money and materials, you have the Knight of Swords. You've got this underneath the Ten of Swords, and I'm gonna say to you, give yourself a moment before you do any sort of retail therapy this week, because it looks like you could end up suffering a real big bout of buyer's remorse. And it might be as well that whatever you set into motion or whatever you purchase, maybe there is no returning it. This is something that you really do need to consider. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, the Knight of Swords, I'm sorry. The Knight of Swords is really asking, especially with the Ten of Swords here, this would be a really good week for you to look after your upper airways and your upper respiratory system in general. I'm not a doctor, I can't give you medical advice, don't take my word for anything, but I will say this is a double hit of Gemini and energy, and you've got the Hanged Man there, which is Neptune. I will say this to you. If you're going anywhere this week, make sure that the air in that place is good. Make sure there are no contaminants. I know obviously you can't do that when you go into a restaurant, like, oh, do you have any contaminants in the air? I don't mean like that. It's just watch out for your surroundings, because the Hanged Man with that Neptunian element, Neptune rules poisons. You've got a double hit of cards that represent Geminian energy, and this for me is speaking to your respiratory system. So this could literally be some form of stress or strain that's put on the respiratory system due to a toxin in the air. So this is something to watch out for when it comes to your home and environment. The Knight of Swords does suggest home is going to be some shit this week. I'm sorry to say, but it looks that way. Just watch out for this week, because it's kind of a mixed bag. I kind of feel like it's going to be slow, but it's like, you know, when you're driving your car with the handbrake on and you're like, something's wrong. Like, everything's going, but you're like, something's wrong, it feels wrong. And then when you take the handbrake off, you're like, ah, okay, that's what it was. This could feel like that. There's a grating or a grinding here somewhere that just doesn't, it just doesn't sit right. I don't know why, but there's something in these cards that feels like it's grating. And it'll be interesting to see how it shows up. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have as best a week as you possibly can. Stay cool, stay chill, and take care. And I will speak to you soon.